Very cool advice. I love number 2. Yeah, if you need help, call David. Call Big Pixel.
That's the best one to anybody had ever given.
That's my giveaway for y'all.
Thank you. I'll take it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to BizDev, the podcast about developing your business. I'm David Baxter, your host, joined per usual by Gary Voigt. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. More importantly, we are joined by the popular, at least around these parts, startup founder of the month, Chip Kennedy. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, David. Hey, Gary. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. So you're relatively well known around these parts because you also run Trial Tech Night. So we're going to get into that in a little bit because community building I know is your shtick, and I want to zero in on that. But right now you are running, I'd say it's a pretty successful little startup thing you got going here called CivicReach. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So my day job is as a founder, as you said. I am getting the privilege of running a company called CivicReach, which I founded in the last year. CivicReach is a voice AI customer experience platform for local government. So for local governments, we are a tool that helps them answer the phone more responsively for their residents, helping with everything from when did someone's garbage need to get picked up, to help with taxes, to help with social services when people might be in need of a little bit more help. We work with cities, counties, and nonprofits across the country that are connecting government to residents, and really puts us into the field of helping governments serve residents as best they can without all the resources that they might need using technology. Early days, early stage startup, but I love the space that we're in. I love the mission that we have, and I love the team we've built to solve these problems.
So not to be obnoxious, but most of the problems that you're talking about, when is my trash supposed to be picked up? There's a website for that. Is this just for people who refuse to go to the website and they're going to call no matter what? Like, you're using very advanced technology to serve the people who just refuse to go to a website. Like, is that what this is?
It's a good question, and we get a lot. There's two important, or many more important answers here. In some ways, yes. If someone has access to information on a website, someone else, they aren't internet native, they're older, they're driving, there's a baby in one hand and a laptop's not accessible to the other. There's a lot of reasons why someone might prefer to call on the phone, but also just from the data. Before CivicReach was a startup, it was a research project that I was doing with aspirations of it being a startup and just interested in me being an entrepreneur who was listening to public servants, people who worked in local governments. And I was told people call. And you don't think people call, but across social services, across government services, calling is done. And it's not just by folks that you'd think, folks that are older or cranky. People call for all sorts of reasons. And way more services in government, especially ones for folks that are most direly in need, folks that are looking for a shelter to stay in, for food for their family. Those resources online are not good, are not up to date, will not answer a question in a timely way. And so phone is the only medium that they have. So yes, and yeah, we're building for the folks who maybe prefer the phone, but you'd be surprised in the government use case how many folks prefer the phone, how often they prefer the phone, and when phone is the only resource that's available between government and a resident to solve some problem.
Even where I live, it's not so much that the websites aren't updated as much. There are websites that give you information, email addresses, but you will get no response, and they always guide you to the phone. So there's always like 10 different phone numbers to call just for basic city services. So I can see where this might come in and help speed up that process at least, or get you connected to where you need to go.
Yeah, and not to be too much on the soapbox here, but the vision is great customer service in government. And I think everyone on this call and everyone listening, we all joke about having bad experiences with government. And we talk about the DMV, but there's a real hard technology problem to solve and a process problem to solve of how you go from not good experiences to good experiences. And that means that whether it's a phone call or using a website or texting on your phone, we aspire to help with that technology layer to create great customer service between government and the rest of us. We started with the phone as an interesting problem to solve.
So to get in the nitty gritty about it, and I'm not trying to pick holes because I disagree with that. I love this idea, but I'm just thinking if I am a small government and I can't keep my website up to date, I'm assuming your AI bot is scraping that website plus whatever else documents they make available to your bot to turn into chat, right? So if they're not keeping their stuff up to date, isn't your bot just going to be just as behind?
It's a really good question. It's funny. Our team had a pretty big conversation on this today. Uh, I've learned many lessons in building this business. And one of the important ones is, right, there's always the problem you're setting out to solve, and then there's the problem behind the problem. And the one you're speaking about, David, is the problem behind the problem. We can build AI that answers the phone and does a great job and references all this internet material to serve folks when they call and say, this is when your trash is getting picked up. This is the information you need. This is what you're looking for from your government. But that all falls apart, and the AI can't do a good job if the data itself, it's powering it, isn't accessible, universal, written, up to date, et cetera, et cetera. And as you can imagine, if we're helping governments that are under-resourced, that also means they might be under-resourced in terms of the communication infrastructure and employees they have. Early on, we were told by some really smart folks and our current customers and some of the most well-respected folks who work in government information and service delivery to solve that problem as well. So for the governments we work with, yes, we're building those AIs that answer phone calls and provide information. We're also building the information architecture and knowledge architecture to help that government keep that information up to date. So that is using AI systems to not just answer the call, but AI systems to monitor, audit, and update that information itself. So that government has a fighting chance of keeping the information useful, pertinent, high quality, and up to date. So it's a bot that answers the phone, but we're building the bots that actually do the busy work to make sure that, that bot that answers the phone has a good data source. And more, especially larger municipalities that we're talking to, are really looking towards that system we're building on the back end as the key solution to a much bigger problem that they have.
I think to me, the ultimate use case to know whether or not your bot is working is if I call you and I say, when is my trash pickup? And it's a holiday. And you have actually, because that's one thing with Google, it's a classic example of Google. Is the grocery store open on Thanksgiving? Is a notoriously impossible problem for Google to solve, because you look at Google and their stuff is their normal hours and all of that, and they can't move fast enough to show you that your Publix grocery store is not open on Thanksgiving, but the Lowe's down the street is. And that's where I've always thought that man, when you've solved that, when I can call you, because like we just had, I'm sure whatever holiday, Labor Day, they moved our stuff, our collection times. And that's where, man, if you can do that, then that's when I'm like, boom, you have solved it. Because that's a really, really hard problem to solve.
It is. And it really gets not just into how to build a technology company, but to build a technology companies that enables things that are buying our technology, which is government. There's processes at play that have nothing to do with technology that make that a hard problem to solve. In so many governments we've talked to, contracted with, our design partners, the answer to that question you're speaking of lives on a sticky note on Stacy's desk.
That's right.
And Stacy is one of 5 administrators in the Public Works Department. And that one sticky note has what the holiday schedule is going to be tomorrow. And so what we inherently want to do is build the technology that is a place for an AI system or any communication system to reasonably see that information. So move it away from sticky notes, and build the tools for government to take a step from sticky notes to using a system like this that's not too scary for them. So that documentation can start to be more standardized and structured. So these systems will not just work well, but be better than the systems we've had in the past, and hopefully someday soon let you call in and ask when your trash is getting picked up, and all of the context of what holiday just happened is baked in.
It's funny, when we started working with a large manufacturer, one of the earliest problems that we had, they had data from a million places. They had 20,000, I think now it's 90,000 products, like just tons of stuff, everything from little screws to little bits and bobs to make huge machines. And one of the things that we accidentally brought that became a huge deal for them is we became the first system that allowed them to standardize the names of their stuff, because it's always been these archaic codes and crazy things that only the really inside baseball guys knew about. And we turned this into readable names that a non-insider could understand. And then when you got to do that, now that becomes its own value and you can use that somewhere else. I can see CivicReach changing. I'm sure you've thought of this. I'm not giving you anything you don't know. But once you've standardized the data and that, now it's not in the sticky note, now you guys probably become the website data. You become a search engine profile that you can make this. Now this data just proliferates and your phone becomes really a small part of your ultimate product. Now I'm going way out there, but I could see once you standardize that data, man, it's all over.
You're spot on. And I'd say, let's hope our competitors aren't listening, but
Don't worry, they're
more.
not.
Oh, hey, you never know. More to the point, I think that for a lot of AI companies, especially those of us looking at less modernized industries or industries that have been stuck for a lot of reasons, whether that's bureaucracy or lack of resources or just lack of attention, to bring folks forward, there are real data challenges to solve that never got solved by the cloud era, never got solved in the past tech revolutions we've had. And so now to be an AI company, and for us, an AI company for local government services, we're not just slapping AI on top of it. We have to solve those challenges. And it's a data challenge. I say to our team almost daily, we're a data company. We are solving a data problem that has not been solved for our customer before. Now, I can't go to a conference or a pitch competition and stand on stage and say, we're a data play, or it's not sexy. But inherently, we're solving that relationship between government and residents. And what residents don't know, and the rest of us, when we talk to governments and we're frustrated because we didn't have the experience we desired, and what governments sometimes know, and we're helping them understand, the reason it's so hard to solve is for lack of access and structure of that data. So very much what we're doing now, David, is building those systems and structures in place. And to your point, we think that will be a core part of the value we provide to this world as we move forward.
One of the reasons I love this idea so much, and the reason I'm poking at it, is I think it really taps into what makes a good AI app. And I think a lot of people are missing that. You're still getting a lot of wrappers. We're going to put AI in this, and we're just going to wrap it up, and it's just going to be this. And those companies are going to die, either because the foundational models, OpenAI's, the Anthropics, whatever, are going to eat them, kind of like a flashlight app on the old iOS store. And so the value of the AI app is unique data that no one else has access to. And as you grow and as you get your fingers in there, that data becomes unique to only your company. And that's where I think you've got legs as opposed to your cool tech. Because cool tech, there's a lot of people doing cool voice, phone, telephony gizmos. And if that was your only claim to fame, you'd lose eventually.
Sooner rather than later. Yeah.
Because there's a ton of them. And there's some really big players in there. I heard some, gosh, I wish I could remember the name of it, but he's basically says that 80% of phone calls are now answered by, within like certain industries, not all of them, within certain industries, like insurance or whatever, are answered by his bots. Whoa, that was quick. And because he's one of those guys, gazillionaires, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Because I never can.
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. The commoditization of the layers of AI for someone building an AI native tech company matters, and it's happening really quickly. And something our team deeply believes, we can be an AI company, which we are. We can be highly technical, which we are, but we're not competing with OpenAI. And there's going to be 10 million people that build voice AI for government or build a lot of the tools we're thinking about in terms of the novelty of AI. It goes away quickly. But if we're, one, solving a real problem, that matters. And two, being really structural and curious and trying really hard to figure out what's missing that's not just AI. And it goes down to processes and workflows and the data that underscores them. And so if we work on those problems, we're going to continue to succeed as a company. And that will make us a lot more defensible from everyone who's just throwing AI at things, which we're definitely not trying to do, despite the fact that AI is a core part of our product and something we find pretty interesting.
Big Pixel builds world-class custom software and amazing apps. Our team of pros puts passion into every one of our projects. Our design-infused development leans heavily on delivering a great experience for our clients and their clients. From startups to enterprises, we can help craft your ideas into real-world products that help your business do better business.
So I'm going to change gears completely and go to something refreshingly not AI. And that is your love of community building, which I think is one of the reasons why you've been on such a tear with your startup, is because before your CivicReach ever even became a word, you were building community almost from the day you stepped foot in Raleigh, because you haven't even been in Raleigh very long. And yet here you are, everyone knows your name, which is frankly pretty amazing. But that's because of your community building. So tell me, where did that come from?
That's you. Hopefully it's a good thing that people know my name, but I feel very supported by this community. I've been in Raleigh 4 years, been in the Research Triangle 4 years, just coming up on my 4-year anniversary. And I have been continually surprised, impressed, and so excited about the tech and startup community that exists in the Research Triangle. Independent of what I'm doing or not doing, just the talent that exists here, the energy that exists here, this universal feeling that we're all at the start of something important and cool and new and interesting and useful it's amazing. And I've spent a lot of time in the New York tech ecosystem as part of my job now, and investors I talk to, I'm in the other big tech ecosystems in this country. And it's not the same scrappiness and feeling like we're onto something. It's different. And I love that energy we have here. So in terms of the journey, I came to Raleigh following my wife's family, and then thought I'd be here for maybe 6 months. And I fell in love with this place. In terms of the family that I'm building here, I love being here. As a human being, I love being here. And as a startup entrepreneur, I really found a great home. And so around the same time I came here and was interested in what my next venture would be, and it turns out it would be CivicReach, I also wanted to create the community that I knew I could thrive in. And so first I looked to search for that, and I found awesome players and folks. I started working out of Raleigh Founded, the co-working space, which I'm in right now, and they were incredibly supportive. I started asking for mentors, community building mentors, to say, what can I learn from this place that I haven't learned before? What can you teach me? And what does this place need? How can I give back? And from there, I learned how special the Research Triangle is historically and right now as a startup hub, as an innovation hub, as a technology hub, as a research hub. And I learned what could be needed next. And specifically in the 2022, 2023 timeline, when I was learning how to be of this place, I got a lot of advice that events never recovered from the pandemic. And for me, as someone who spent the first part of my career in New York's tech ecosystem, events were the lifeblood of how ideas spread, and were the lifeblood of making the tech and startup ecosystem accessible to a new founder at the time, like myself, who didn't know anything, didn't have those connections. And so it was a couple mentors in a row who said that, and I said, that's my permission to go do this. And so I threw one event, called it Triangle Tech Night. I thought it was a one-off. We talked about AI. I know I wasn't supposed to talk about AI in this part of it.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah. People weren't sick of AI in 2022. And it succeeded in what I wanted, which was just very selfishly showing me the ecosystem in one place where I could learn. I could figure out the type of founder I could be. I could learn about AI trends happening from vice presidents at IBM delivered directly to me. And selfishly, it's what I was craving. And it turns out other people were craving it too. Triangle Tech Night has snowballed in all these beautiful ways. It's now not just me. I have great co-organizers that come from other entrepreneurial parts of the community in Raleigh and Durham. We throw about 6 events a year. We have these amazing industry partners that have come in to underwrite it. And we get 75 to 120-ish folks out every other month. We pick a topic that's sustainability or a specific industry. We're doing GovTech this month, which I'm partial to and I'm very excited about. And we move it around the triangle. So that way folks who are in different corners of the triangle have a fighting chance of getting to an event like this and seeing it in their own backyard. And I just keep seeing these amazing conversations. I keep learning something new. And the best part is now that feeling I had at the first one, where I got to be a first-time founder in this community. I got to learn how to be a founder here. I see a lot more people get to be founders, and a lot more people who work in tech here have more meaning and ideas from not just their day job. So I've loved it. And then people keep asking me to host other things and work on other things. And unfortunately, my schedule can't accommodate it all. But any way that I can continue to support this community that has supported me, I'll say yes to.
It's very cool. It's very inspiring too. We had Tom Rue on not that long ago from NC Idea, and he has that same spark. Now, he's obviously been doing it much longer, but he has that same love and he has the same belief that there's something different about not only this area, he's obviously the whole state. And right now I'm feeling like a lot of energy is being directed towards Wilmington. I see that word pop up a lot more. For those outside of the area, that's it's a pretty small city by the beach here. But you're starting to see a lot of grassroots kind of stuff going on there that didn't exist, I would say, even a year ago. NC Idea is pushing really hard there. I know Beat was just out there doing an event. And so it's really interesting to see it's spreading a bit more outside of the 2 main hubs, Charlotte and Raleigh.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of good reasons for that. And I look at the triangle a lot, but see what's happening in Wilmington and in Charlotte and even in Western North Carolina. What can innovation do to help aid the recovery or be part of recovery efforts, as well as be part of the existing culture in Western North Carolina? So in all these places, I'm seeing amazing things that North Carolina is as an innovation hub that I didn't have in a place like New York, which really comes down to diversity of ideas. And so many hardworking, educated, innovative people that haven't been asked to participate yet that can be. And in a place with tons of money like New York, which is nice to have, and a lot of entrepreneurs here in North Carolina don't always feel like they have access to capital, and I get why.
Sure.
But what we do have is this incredible set of ideas and really tangible outcomes to what we're building. I've never lived in a place where in one night I'll meet a startup founder who's building something for farmers and another startup founder who's at Wilmington working in blue tech and building something for fishermen, and someone who's just built like this crazy seed innovation for John Deere. And then I'm working in GovTech and taking trips to DC, and the incredible diversity of what we're all focused on is amazing. And I get to learn from founders who are building all of these interesting things. And I've never been in a place that supported that. And the research triangle does it in spades. And to your point, I think North Carolina really has that baked in. And so what I want to do on podcasts and for more folks is use this as an excuse to invite more people to participate. If you've worked in tech your whole career for big firms and you've always wanted to start a startup, know that North Carolina and these hubs within it have resources for you to get started. There's money, there's mentorship, there's ways to get started that doesn't just exist in New York and San Francisco. And similarly, if you're in marketing in tech, or if you're a designer and you've wanted to be in that early stage experience, you've wanted to build something, there's resources around you to do it. And there's an energy here to do it if you just get started.
Well said. What I have found in my little startup journey with my little product is, unless, and maybe I'm wrong in this, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Unless I'm not raising money. I don't need that yet. Maybe I never will. Maybe I will. I don't know, but that's not in my thing. But most of the cool stuff around anywhere is to get you money. Like if I just want like mentorship, usually that's a hard thing to do unless you're going to go to these things that give you money. It just makes sense. And so I don't need that. And so I feel like I'm cut off a little bit. It's a weird problem to have, but it's just interesting. It's not that I'm rich or anything. I could just build my own product. That's easy. That takes a big chunk of the need for money away for a while, at least. And so have you seen that there are when you don't need that little nugget of winnings, that a lot of those things dry up?
It's interesting. I don't share your problem.
Sure, you're raising money.
Company,
sure.
Yeah. But I'm very grateful for our investors who've been a crucial part of this journey.
Absolutely.
I think something I started preaching on early on as an aspiring community builder here in North Carolina in the Research Triangle is something I learned early in my career that I met a lot of founders here didn't know, and folks in tech in general, whether they aspire to be founders or not, didn't know, and folks who wanted to build something, was that there's a variety of different ways to build a business. And we too often put folks who are building the type of business I am, which is backed by venture investors, high growth, high chance of failure, all technology, AI native on the pedestal, and then every other type of business isn't. And that's a mistake. There's different mechanics of running a venture-backed business. There's different reasons why I chose this path, but I did it with eyes wide open. I knew the type of business I wanted. I knew the bigger risk I wanted to take on, and I knew the bigger ambition I wanted to have. And that's part of how I hire my team, how I've raised money, the product I'm building, who I'm building for. But there's so many other types of business models and businesses. And we too often, I think we, myself included, the founder community, the builder community, the tech community, index new businesses based on the funding they get or don't get. And that's a mistake. Funding is one of many parts to creating something new, whether that's creating a new technology or creating a new tech business or creating a business in general, but it's just one piece. And so what we should do a better job of is being interested in and promoting and shouting from the rooftops about cool inventions, cool products, cool tech companies that get built that aren't traditionally venture-backed or traditionally invested in. And to your point, David, if you're someone who can't self-fund, but you're not going to create a venture-backed company, you're not going to go be a Silicon Valley style founder, there's still money. There's still grant money. In the government space, we have federal, state, and local grants for entrepreneurs. And you don't have to go create $1 billion business plan to get there. As long as your mission is aligned with whatever that grant is, that's money for you. And so that's part of it. We should make it more popular to build whatever type of business suits you, your lifestyle, your goals, and what you're building and who you're serving, not just the biggest business imaginable. And so that's a change I want to see. And hopefully we get to promote your business more because of it.
I like that.
Chip, from your experience growing this business, what would you give as your top 3 pieces of advice in today's time for a new business or a founder?
Okay. Top 3 pieces of advice. 3 big ones, and they all apply to today's time, but hopefully people can call me out in a good way. I've been saying this for a long time. One is don't build alone. So use your community to your advantage. Now, you don't have to go build a community events organization while you build your startup. I actually don't advise that. It's a little bit too much work. But build your community with you. If you're not used to LinkedIn and it's real, but use it. Post, I'm starting something new. Ask folks for help. Every time you take a coffee meeting and someone's interested in your ideas, follow up with them and just keep them updated on what you're building. Give your community a chance to help you, and don't build alone. I'm a solo founder is the term. That's another venture term, which I think is
Solopreneur?
Solopreneur. I don't know if that applies to me. These things
No, you got
carry
a team
more
now.
weight
You
than
can't
they should.
call that anymore. No, you're too
Definitely can't.
spicy now.
But solo founder in terms of my ownership of the company. And that, I think, is such an isolating term. I would fall apart if I didn't have a team supporting me that was invested in this company and these ideas and this mission, supporting each other and helping each other. I'd fall apart if I didn't have a community of people checking in, asking how I'm doing, and helping. I did the math. It was something like 225 individual phone calls, coffee chats, advisory relationships, user research relationships. That was before CivicReach even incorporated. So before I even went to start the business, that's what I had done in terms of verifying this idea and putting it out there and workshopping it. That's how many people gave me 30 minutes or an hour of their time for free to just say, let me help you just a little bit more. And I would not be here without that. So build in your community, ask for help from your community. Absolutely. Number 2, another sort of venture-y term I don't like, technical founder versus non-technical founder. That shouldn't exist. It's such a falsehood. I have a technical background, people say, like computer science degree, and I was a software engineer and all that. Other people don't. Build a tech company. If you have an idea and tech is the right way to solve the problem that idea is getting to, then go build tech. Learn. Ask David here. You have a whole company that helps people build technology, right? There's such good resources for it. And with the advent of AI, the amount of founders who don't have any technical background whatsoever that are building these companies, it should be inspiring. So don't let tech education be your barrier to starting a tech company. And you have to be humble about it, but it doesn't mean you can't get started. That's number 2. And number 3 is get started. The number one question I get asked by earlier stage founders and entrepreneurs in this community and wherever I go is, how do you know when to start? And the answer is yesterday. It doesn't always mean quitting your job. It doesn't mean creating instability. Everyone has their own risk tolerances. Everyone has their own personal runway and a willingness to spend money on their ideas. But within that, within those constraints, there's something you can do right now. And the number one thing I did was user research. I worked a full workday, and then I would schedule in my lunch break user research calls to move this company along. And there's other things you can do. And so just to figure out, what can you do next? Ask ChatGPT, what can I do next to move this idea along? And don't let money or other constraints stop you from a good idea moving forward by you. So find a way to get started.
Very cool advice. I love number 2. Yeah, if you need help, call David, call Big Pixel.
That's the best one that anybody had ever given.
That's my giveaway for y'all.
Thank you. I'll take it.
All right, Chip, if anybody wants to learn more about you or about CivicReach or Triangle Tech Night, what's the best way for them to get more information or reach out?
Yeah, starting with this audience, I think a lot of folks who live in the Research Triangle in North Carolina, come out to Triangle Tech Night. Our team works really hard, and I'm pretty dang proud of it. And it's networking, but not boring, and it's useful, and it's interesting, and you meet interesting people, and it's a way to get involved in tech and startups. And if you're in startups, it's a way to meet other founders. And if you're not in startups, it's a way to just learn about technology that's happening here in an accessible, not over your head technical way. So come on out, triangletechnight.com. We have a newsletter, LinkedIn, all that. I think you can find us. Love to see you there. For CivicReach specifically, cheer us along. I've gotten this far in part because this community is awesome and supports me and reposting and just puts us as someone to represent this ecosystem. And I love that. More startups should be put in that position. Keep doing it. Thank you. And if you want to help us, introduce us to governments. We aspire to help as many counties, cities, and communities as we can. So if folks who work in local government who might find it worthwhile to talk to us, we'd love to be introduced. You can find us at CivicReach.ai or find me on the internets.
Love it. Thank you so much, Chip, for joining us. It's been a lot of fun.
Likewise, David, Gary, I really appreciate it. These are some great questions. Love the work that y'all do.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
I'll
great
take that.
meeting you. And yeah, it's exciting to watch how excited you are about this new venture of yours. So that's pretty awesome.
It's a fun time.
Well, on that note, we are out. We will be back next week. Thank you, everybody.
That wraps up this episode of the BizDev podcast. And this time you get me, Jen Baxter, co-owner of Big Pixel and David's wife. Yep, I finally took the mic, or wrestled it, away from David. BizDev is a production of Big Pixel, a US-based provider of UX design, strategy, and custom software. This podcast is edited by audio whiz Matt McCracken and Christy Pronto, marketing guru for Big Pixel. Want to connect? Shoot us an email at hello@thebigpixel.net or find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn.